Hey everybody, Adam Dupes here, and welcome to another episode of On the Couch Rewind, where I review movies from the past in anticipation of sequels and remakes or reboots. So, in anticipation of the Captain America the Winter Soldier this week, I will be reviewing Captain America the First Avenger. Now, this is a movie I was both looking forward to and scared about at the same time, and I know I could say that about a lot of movies like Ninja Turtles, but well, let me start off with this. It was never the production, it was never the director, it was never anything, not the supporting cast. The one thing that I knew they had to get right was the casting of Captain America. And when they casted Chris Evans, I wasn't scared, I wasn't pissed, I wasn't going, oh no, he's a terrible choice. I just went, Human Torch? That'd be weird. Okay, yeah, let's give it a shot. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have doubts. I'd be lying if I said that I thought he was a good choice. I honestly would have picked somebody else, but he nailed it. Hands down, Chris Evans is Captain America. He really is, and I mean, Captain America is a character I've grown up with since I was a kid. First time I was introduced to him was, believe it or not, the 1990 direct-to-video movie, the really bad one. That's what got me into Captain America. The movie that had so little to do with Captain America. But yeah, this movie's really good. This movie is actually my favorite of the Marvel Cinematic movies, solo movies. This is hands down my favorite. To me, it's even better than Iron Man. It's the one movie that I'm pretty sure even Marvel knew they could not screw up. So, I mean, alright, so basically the plot, everyone should know this by now. Young, skinny Steve Rogers wants to enlist in the army. He can't because he's a wimp. Scientist gives him the chance, and he's chosen for the Super Soldier program, Project Rebirth. He's hit by Vita rays. He becomes Captain America, and so he has to fight. The Nazi organization Hydra and the evil Red Skull. It's as simple as that, really. There's no need for complications or big plot twists. This isn't just a superhero movie. This is a classic pulp, 1940s pulp action film. This is like, and kind of like, this is very much like The Rocketeer. Joe Johnston, who directed Captain America, also directed The Rocketeer, which is actually one of my favorite pulp comic book movies. And of course, I'm also a big fan of The Shadow and The Phantom, believe it or not. So it was nice to see something like this again. To see something that really Joe Johnston is really good at, which is doing old-timey movies. And this screamed 1940s. This oozed classic 1940s pulp comic book classic kind of thing. And you can even tell, like, yeah, there's green screen, but what are you gonna do when you're trying to recreate the 1940s? You've got to use green screen to an extent, and they utilize it very well. And yeah, the green screen's not great, but it works here because, again, it's supposed to look like 1940s. It's supposed to look a little cheesy. It's supposed to look a little old. But other than that, the special effects are really good. With one exception, skinny Steve Rogers. Now, when when Captain America was first announced, everyone was wondering, how are they going to make Steve Rogers skinny? Are they just going to use a body double and just computer digitally render the actor's face over that double, or are they going to do something different? And they did do the body double, but they realized it wasn't right, so they actually shrunk Chris Evans down to the right size, which at that point was really impressive. But now you look at it, and there are times where you can tell that it's digital. You can definitely tell where it's shrunk, where kind of where the green screen is actually. But that's not to say it's still not impressive. It is actually impressive that they were able to accomplish this. It really is. And I like it. It still kind of blows my mind to see Chris Evans, who's like the 6'2" guy, muscle guy, very, very well built guy, turn into basically me. but even shorter, because I'm about 5'10", 5'10" and a half, maybe at least 5'11". I think it's been a while since I checked my height, but yeah, he's pretty. They were able to shrink him down, which was again really impressive. The casting was really good, or I should say, the supporting cast was really good as well. Hugo Weaving, when they cast him as Red Skull, all I had was all-out praise, because I knew Hugo Weaving could play bad. I knew he could play evil. But yeah, he's just evil. He's fucking evil. Red Skull is actually one of my favorite villains of all time, because of just how evil he is. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit about anybody. He just wants to rule the world. He's that classic villain who doesn't have some tragic history or humanizing characteristics. He's just evil. That's it. And that's a villain I kind of miss. That's a villain I like seeing. I would love to see more. Is just the straight up bad guy. Seeing kind of like the beginning of S.H.I.E.L.D. was actually very nice. They don't like straight up say S.H.I.E.L.D., but like the division that Captain America works for is a precursor to S.H.I.E.L.D. And if you remember in Captain America, or I'm sorry, Iron Man 2, Nick Fury told Tony Stark that his father was a founding member of S.H.I.E.L.D. They actually show, Howard Stark, Dominic Cooper, who's very much every bit Tony Stark's father, as you would imagine. He is like he's not like the hard partying playboy like Tony Stark is. He's much more he's got a little more class to him for that time period. For that time period, yeah, he would be considered very hard partying, but he is very much, even still, he's still very much a noble person. He knows what he has to do. He understands that his lifestyle is in jeopardy if he doesn't help America win the war. And he's willing to put aside his own lifestyle to even help Captain America. So it serves as both a comparison, a contrast, and even a possible foreshadowing of Tony Stark's character. In that while Howard Stark was never really the greatest person, he was definitely he was definitely a somebody that Tony could look up to help him become a better person. Stanley Tucci as Abraham Erskine. God damn. Again, really good choice. Honestly, he was probably he would have been my first choice too, had I thought about it, because I love Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci is a really good actor, and he really does. I mean, his German accent's not great, but it's passable because one, it's Stanley Tucci. Two, you're watching a pulp comic book movie. It's a lot of the German accents are going to be fake, and that's fine. It's meant to be, because this isn't meant to be historically accurate. This movie isn't meant to be nationally sensitive. This is basically pro-America. This isn't just a comic movie. This is a pro-America movie. This is America fuck yeah kind of thing. And it shows without being all Michael Bay about it. God, I am trashing Bay today. Which is nothing new. just wait till the summer comes along. But yeah. Stanley Tucci's really good. Toby Jones as Arnim Zola is really good. Just playing the short. I mean, he's kind of like the less psychotic version of the bespectacled Nazi spy guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's who he kind of reminds me of. He reminds me of Peter Lorre, is who I should say he reminds me of. Is very much like if this movie was made back in the 1940s, Peter Lorre would have been Arnim Zola. That's who would have been. That's who would have played. That's who would have played Arnim Zola as Peter Lorre. He does that and Toby Jones does that very well. I am a Toby Jones fan. Trying to think now. Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter. Man, talk about strong and sexy. Oh my God, I love Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter. Her first scene just basically sets the ground rules on how to make a very strong character. You don't need to make a girl like a straight up damsel in distress. You don't need them, but you also don't need to make her a big, strong, independent woman who doesn't need a man in her life. It needs to be well balanced, and she does that very well. She is a very strong, independent woman, but she's also looking for somebody who's on the same level. And she actually and what's great about it is that she actually starts to fall in love with not Captain America, but Steve Rogers. And that's before he turns super soldier. She actually starts kind of getting feelings for Skinny Steve because she sees something in him that she actually sees more than just a skinny wimpy guy. She sees a guy who's willing to lay his life down for anybody, no matter whether he's skinny or whether he's super soldier or not. He's willing to jump on top of a grenade and allow himself to get blown up to protect everyone else. And it's great to see that. It's great because you don't really see that often. You usually see the girl fall in love with the big muscly guy. You don't see a girl fall in love with a beautiful woman, fall in love with like the shy nerdy guy, unless it's like a comedy. Here it works, and that's another thing. The comedy's really good. But yeah, back to cast. One thing one thing, and I'll probably say this in my Winter Soldier review, going to more of it in my Winter Soldier review, is Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes. In the comics, he's the sidekick. Here, he's actually just the best friend and the partner, which works. Honestly, I think that's the downside of the sidekicks in movies. They don't get a lot to do. Here, they don't, or I should say, they don't get a moment to shine. Here, he does get a moment to shine. He does do enough to make you feel for him, and he also gets a moment to carry the shield and kick some ass. But if anyone's really my favorite character besides Steve Rogers, it's Tommy Lee Jones as Colonel Phillips. He has the best lines in this movie. I love him to death. This makes up for Batman Forever. This really does. And Men in Black too. Also the Howling Commandos. I actually do like the fact that instead of the invaders like in the comics, Captain America is the leader of the Howling Commandos. Which again is really cool because he's not just an American soldier. He doesn't just represent a country. He represents an ideal the world can go by, which is fight for what you believe in, no matter what. Stand up to tyranny, and he's got a team of different race, nationality, whatever, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care if his team members are French, black, Japanese American, or Neil McDonough as Dum Dum Dugan. He doesn't care. And Neil McDonough as Dum Dum Dugan's great. He's fantastic, and I love him. I love that character. If you pay attention in the movie, he actually does say his catchphrase, which is "Wahoo!" But it's like going during like a battle scene, so you gotta like listen really, really carefully. But yeah, the movie's also very well paced. There are parts in this movie where there are just montages, but the montages work because it lasts about a minute, 2 minutes long, just to give you enough time just so we can get the story moving along, and also to showcase how great Captain America is, how much of an impact Captain America has made on not just America but the entire world. I like musicals, but I also know when musical numbers are needed. This is one of those movies where a musical number in a comic book movie was warranted. I love the musical number he gets in this. I mean, he doesn't sing or anything, which thank God, but the fact that he's being used as a poster boy to sell war bonds is great. And I know there's probably plenty of people who cry foul on it, who don't like it. I'm not one of those people. Now, I am one of those people that complained about the musical number of Spider-Man 3 because it wasn't needed. There was no need for it. This movie did. This movie warranted it. I mean, now granted, did it necessarily need to have it? No, but they put it in because they knew it would fit the tone. And they only used it for about 3 minutes. Which, again, to set up the transition of this character. Which, again, was good. To show how much of an impact the character has on the country as a poster boy. Which again was really great. Plus it helps get him his costume. and his first appearance costume, his first appearance shield, which I actually have an action figure of. Also, there were moments in this movie where some of the scenes ended like a tune in next week serial. I'm not kidding. I had just realized this. There were times where I actually went, well, Captain America has survived the jump, or will he fall in a blazing death? Tune in next week and Captain America, the first Avenger. I mean, there were times where it felt like that. And it was, again, really well transitioned. It really was. There was plenty of moments like that. If there's one thing I also have to say, now this is probably my longest rewind video yet, is this. The final, the ending to it was that Captain America crash lands in the Arctic. And then it transitions to like the Allies winning the war. And then they show like kids in New York playing in the streets. One of them's got a trash can lid with the Captain America symbol, or painted like Captain America's shield. And then it just shows the kids playing Captain America. And then it ends like that. But then it cuts to Steve waking up. And then he waking up in 21st century, and then it ends. Now, I'm fine with the ending. I really am. I actually like the ending. I like how nice and quiet it is. It didn't need to be bombastic. It didn't need like a big, loud, licensed song in it to make everyone do a standing ovation. Just the fact that Steve just found out he's been asleep for 70 years, realizing that he missed his date, and that's his only line, I had a date, and then it just ends, is very nice. It sets the mood for the fact that it sets the mood for what Steve is about for the world Steve had just entered. He realized he just woke up, but the only thing on his mind was he just ended up missing the woman he loved. Which, honestly, I probably would have thought the same thing. But I also felt like that was originally meant to be the post-credit scene, or at least the mid-credit scene. But they realized that there was already like Avengers footage, so they thought, oh hey, let's go ahead and give them a teaser so they can get excited for the Avengers, and make this the official ending to Captain America. Which, no complaints, but at the same time, it did feel like a fake out, in order to give us that teaser, which they could have done online. But other than that, like I said, this is my favorite movie right now. This is my favorite Avengers solo movie. As a matter of fact, it's also in my top 5 favorite comic book movies of all time. It's up there in my top 5, like number 3 or number 2. I mean, hell, right here. I got on Blu-ray. I watched this damn thing 4 times in the last 2 weeks just to prepare myself for this review. That's how great this movie is. I can't get enough of it. I probably watched this movie more times than I've watched Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, The Avengers. Okay, maybe not The Avengers, but definitely Iron Man 3 and Thor: The Dark World. I've watched this movie more times than any of those movies combined. That's how much I love this movie. And so, with that said, I'm going to give Captain America a 2 out of 10. Nah, I'm just kidding. Belated April Fool's joke. No. Captain America the first Avenger, gets a 9 out of 10. This movie, to me, will stand the test of time. This is a movie everyone will remember as one of the greatest comic book movies ever. I mean, this is basically what I've been waiting for a long time, in terms of how to translate an old-fashioned comic book hero onto the big screen without completely modernizing him. Captain America has and always will be a product of his time, but it's how you transition him in for a modern audience that makes this movie work without bastardizing on who he really is. Everyone knows he's a 1940s hero. Everyone knows he was just there to help raise the spirits of America. But at the same time, he's also a character we can still look up to today. Hell, as a matter of fact, I mean, this is a movie. If you feel like being all, I don't want to say gung ho, but if you feel you need to watch a good fashion American movie, watch Captain America. Watch that movie, because it is good. It is a good movie. It is a good, like I said, America fuck yeah movie. I love this movie, and I recommend it to anybody, no matter what. I mean, if you're not a fan of comic book pulp movies, then this movie may not be for you, because this is very 1940s. But everyone else, watch this movie, no matter what. Especially if you want to see Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Definitely watch this. So tomorrow, me, Isaac, and some others will be seeing Winter Soldier. Like I said before in my Noah review, it will not be on the couch. It will actually be somewhere. It will be in a different location, but it will still be an on the couch review. It's just due to circumstance, it will have to be somewhere else. And also, and you probably won't see another one like that until Amazing Spider-Man 2 comes out. But then that sort of thing will be more frequent. So until next time, guys, I will see you tomorrow night. And America, fuck yeah!